You're listening to We're Big Kids Now, a podcast journey through stories, interviews, life lessons, comedic relief, and most likely some not-so-wanted advice. My name's Joe Alexander, and I'm here to hopefully inspire, motivate, and above all, just have a good time with y'all. So sit back and let's get started. All right, and welcome back to Chapter 8 of We're Big Kids Now. So today I've got a friend of mine I've known, I don't know how many years we're going to say. This is probably
a long time.
I was really young because I guess my cousin is, and you are like maybe 5 years older than me.
I'm 35 right now.
Oh, wait, no. So then so I'm 33. So,
okay.
All right. So I've known this guest since I was young. He was always around my cousin. They went to school together. They grew up basically always with all the parties, all their house parties. Everyone was always involved. And I got to tell you, I think what I remember the most is that there was always an event going on. There was always something and you were always there. So I think no other than just to say, this is the man, the dollar sign. You see him everywhere around Miami. I've got Victor GOSA.
Thank you for having me, Joe. Man, yeah, but you were right on that, man. Every event back then, I was all about that.
I think that's what it was. I think you were always the center around every event that went on. And I got to tell you, I think one thing I always remember is your parents were always also the loud ones, the funny ones. Like they were involved.
Yeah, my dad's a character. I think I get some of my charisma from him. He's a cool cat.
I was going to say, between both of them, you probably lean more towards your dad, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So I know you are a father. You have a little boy.
Yes.
He's one now already or no?
1 and 2 months.
1. And
2 months.
Do you take a lot of influence in the way your parents raised you? Are you doing the same thing or are you totally doing things opposite?
No, I'm doing everything just how whatever I remember from my childhood and my parents raising me, I'm trying to do it to the T.
Really?
Yeah, man.
I would think that people want to do it totally different.
No, man. To be honest, man, my dad and my mom raised us really good. I mean, and me myself looking outside in, like, you know, I consider myself a humble, good person, you know, and they let us be free, you know, you know, obviously they got us into our activities, but like from what I remember, I would love to treat my son the way my parents treated me.
I love it. I think, you know what, you could tell because even around those times, those parties, like they were all so involved and they knew we were drinking. They were around. So it was like, It was nothing that was hidden. So,
yeah.
And I think that's why, like, even with my parents were always about like, yeah, do it in the house. I know where you're at. I know what's going on. It's fine.
For sure. I know my mom was a bit more precautious as I got a little older and started coming home, you know, and I was probably tipsy. She'll still make me grilled cheese sandwiches. Yeah, every night. She'll be waiting for me. I'm like, oh shit.
All right. So let's talk about basically, let's what you used to do. You used to do a lot of, I think for what everybody knows, you was always the events, the marketing, I guess it was really just, what was it? It was hosting events?
I did a lot of hosting and marketing, you know, for events. And I think looking back to what I did in the past, I think I did a pretty good job at branding myself without even really knowing marketing and branding at the time. It was just focusing on events like house parties, clubs, you know, all that stuff. So I looking back at it, branding I think was a big part of it, but I was just a nightlife guy at the time, you know, and from high school on.
So would you say then, starting in high school, getting into it, did you have a focus of where you wanted to head towards, or it was just, you know what, let's get into the club life, let's get into making these parties?
No, to be honest, I was always, I had to like entrepreneur spirit. Like I had that little hustle in me always, like from selling avocados, because we had a huge avocado tree in my neighborhood, to getting to one of the biggest high schools in Miami, Braddock, selling CDs when the CD burner came out, selling the cookies, the lollipops, painting my own like Scarface posters and carpenting my
are
own
you
frames for it, selling all that
are you still
in
selling
Braddock.
avocados?
No, no, no. Yo, let me tell you, the avocado tree my parents had, I'm talking about these things were
It's
like a foot long.
I'm
Now
telling
my
you, but
girl
it's
just brings these
gold.
little ones
It's
to the
gold in
house.
Miami. Everybody wants to buy these avocados.
Yeah, man. And I was selling them for $1. I was like, man, that's cheap.
I was gonna say, don't they sell them like 2 for $1 or like 4 for a
Yeah, bro.
dollar?
I don't know. I don't know. But no, I think the entrepreneur thing, the money, I've always wanted I enjoyed turning something into cash.
Yep.
So when I saw the opportunity of, look, Braddock, when I in my 4 years in Braddock, it was a record for the most students in a high school, because I believe those Varela wasn't built yet, which was another high school that was going to support the students that were in Braddock. So we had a big class, and there it was a matter of you print out flyers in Kinkos and find a house, throw some flyers in the hallway, and you have a slammed house. You're making a good $500 off of $10 a person. We're talking about 500 people coming to a house party, obviously getting rated in a matter of 2 hours, but you always had a backup plan.
So when you did all this, did you have that competition also? Like, let's say in Braddock, did you have somebody that was doing the same thing that you were doing?
Yeah, there was cliques where I learned from them. There was this group called MD. It was Millennium Dreamers. They would always meet up like at Checkers and have meetings,
Checkers.
and yeah. And I thought that was cool. That there was a clique. And then the other one was, I forgot what the other one was, but I remember MD, Millennium Dreamers, where a lot of promoters, actually there's still a couple promoters that are still promoting from that thing, which is crazy. But
When I guess when you get into this, so you started already with GOSA, or did GOSA just start later on?
no, so GOSA started later on. The funny part is I created a company called Open Mind.
Okay.
And I went to one of those kiosks in Dolphin Mall and printed my own shirts and started a group of guys with baby blue shirts that said Open Mind Production. And but what was cool about our house parties were we would get popular songs at the time. So like, for example, Peaches and Cream,
Oh, cream.
Fiesta from R. Kelly. So I would name my house parties after the popular songs. So people were like, "Oh man, like I, want to go to this house party," and then the DJ, when he dropped that song, it was like the song. It was like that was like prime time. Like, hey, we're full. Like, drop the song.
So what would you say is basically then? Do you think it's difficult for someone starting to get into that now? Let's say, okay, let's take COVID out of the subject. If someone doing that now, do you think it's the same kind of realm of them starting it the same way you started back then, or do you think it's harder?
No, 100%. The root of it all was meeting people
Yeah.
and knowing people in a large capacity. I was fortunate that I was in a large capacity in high school with a lot of students, and we had a message board at the time, and at the time communication, believe it or not, got around more, even though there wasn't too much. Like, it wasn't like everyone had a cell phone, but word spread a lot more within that group, which is weird. Now with social media, yes, it's easier to reach more people, but you have a lot more of other people reaching to the same person. So you have to pop out at them if you're trying to engage with someone. But yes, I think it's a basic fundamental. It's just reaching out to people, engaging, getting their
Do you
attention.
think now, I guess, or like, did you go through it? Did you have a lot of people that were those that were there just to use, and they were just really not your friend? Or like, how did you come across that, and like, what did you deal with that?
Well, I looked at it as a transaction at the time. So yes, I wanted to meet a lot of people and have people remember my name, or remember me, so that they could come to a future event. But there were acquaintances, and they wanted to be friendly, and I wanted to be friendly, so that next time I had an event, they could reach out, and
Because
we'll have that
I
thing.
think in the game you were always like that humble person no matter what. And I think everyone knew
Yes,
that.
and I
And
appreciate you saying that, because I've heard that so many times,
it's
and
true, because I'm telling you, even people that I knew when I was in other jobs, they knew about your events. They knew about this. I'm like, I go, yeah, I know the guy. And then when they would say the guy is like the nicest guy in the world, I go, he is. I go, I trust me. I know the family. I know the way they are, because it's like you and your brother the same way. It's like I think it's just something that exactly how you said. It's like, the way you were raised right. And it didn't go to your head. Like, it was just like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna be humble. I'm gonna help you out, even if it's just for this one event you're gonna come to, and I may not see you again. But you felt it.
Joe, as I got a little older and the event started getting a little more sophisticated, and moving to the beach, when the beach, was what it was with nightclubs, I would go outside at 3 a.m. when the club's closing at 5, or I'll go out at 4 a.m. if a group got there, and I'll fight to get them in for free, because at some point, it's not my call to charge the person, because I might not be getting paid by that person paying at the door, So if I could get you in for free, I'll still go outside and do my thing. Versus other promoters at the time at 12 o'clock, that's it. Their list is done. Like, they don't even worry about it. But
and they're done. They don't care.
Yeah.
No, and that's the thing. It's like, I always remember those times, and it was always like, you got those. Did you think it was overwhelming to have everybody's number, or like, like having that phone?
No, I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it, man. I to this day, I have 7,000 contacts in my phone. Like, any call or anyone I talk to, I'm like, yo, what's your name? And I save it. Even if I'm like, yo, I probably will never meet this person or need this person's contact, but you never know.
How are you now? Because I'm seeing it a lot more in the younger crowd, where when you meet someone, are you still getting name, number, and probably an email? Or is it like, oh, let me get your Instagram?
Man, it's so funny, because the other day I was like, I have some business cards for my art, but like, I made super cool ones. Like, they're squared and they're super thick with a border colored, you know, and it says there's a new force in town, and I have Darth Vader with the Rolling Stones. So it's an artsy card, So I take it with me, and they're not cheap, but I forgot it the other day, and my girl's like, you need to carry those all the time. And I'm like, listen, my Instagram's Victor Gosa, bro. And they're like, all right, got you.
You can find me. You can find me.
And it's like, yo, what's your IG? Let's connect. So it's pretty quick, and I'm sure it's going to get a lot easier.
I was going to say, it happened the other day when I met somebody, and they were like, oh yeah, what's your Instagram? I'm like, I go, my God, like, I don't remember that. We used to say, what's your number now? I'm like, it's not even that anymore. It's like, let me just message you. I'm like, okay, got it.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, I don't know. A lot of people check their DMs versus text, like, or they rather talk in the DM than text.
Yeah, I know, totally. I know you had gotten a point where you were doing a lot of the Wynwood stuff, where it was, I think you were either doing the thrifting, and it was a thrifter.
Yeah, so thrifter. And I'm glad you got that right. a lot of people get confused with the name. Yeah, so I've always had a passion for recreating stuff.
Yep.
And clothing, believe it or not. I always try to do these random brands of clothing lines and try to sell them, throughout my time. And thrifter, I fell in love with thrifter when I went to California, and I went to Melrose Trading Post, and I saw a flea market, but a cool flea market. And then across the street from a flea market was this company called Crossroads Trading Co., where it was a clothing store, but with cool clothes.
Uh-huh.
And I saw people walking in with big black bags, and I'm like, what the hell is going on here? And they're like, oh, like, we buy the clothes from these people and then we resell them. So like, you could either take cash or you get a credit. And I'm like, damn. And I looked at the clothes, and like, I'm talking about, I bought these fluorescent yellow Nikes for like $25. And they were my perfect fit. And I was like, whoa, like, I like this idea, and it's not happening in Miami. The only thing in Miami was Goodwill.
Yeah, I know.
Goodwill, and I forgot the name of the other one.
Wasn't there twice?
Plato's Closet.
That one, and then there was another one that I think I used to go to. Was it in the Grove? Twice Around or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
There was one that had all that same. It was like that consignment feel.
Yeah. So long story short, I created Thrifter, and I enjoyed going out, garage sale hunting.
Yep.
I would run into some awesome stuff, flip old cameras that I got I'll tell you this one moment. I went with my brother, we were thrifting, and they're like these Cubans in their garage playing dominoes, having a good time, and all their stuff outside in containers. And as soon as I get out of the car and walk there, the first bin I see has like 9 vintage cameras, Nikons, like all these crazy cameras. And I told my brother, don't look at them. Keep walking, because some old lady came out. Hey, ¿cómo están?
Uh-huh.
I'm like, don't even look at them. And then I'm like, oh, they're just looking around. And then I don't know where I'm like, how much for the cameras? She's like, dame $1 cada uno. I'm like, what? Here's $8.
Like, sold.
Here's $8. I'm taking it. Can I take the bin? She's like, no, déjame eso. Whatever. Those cameras, I flipped them for like $130 each.
That's crazy.
You know, so those feelings of like finding treasure were super cool. Obviously we elevated, you know, the company and started creating inventory, SKUs, taking pictures of each product, cataloging it, listing, creating an online thrift market. But then it was just a mission. Like, I would sell that one piece, and you did all that work to sell that one unique product.
I know.
It's not like you had inventory for it. So from there, what I did was, you know, instead of going thrifting, which I enjoyed it, I had to do a lot more of the back end work at a company. I started reaching out to other thrifters that had Etsy's but didn't have a website. And I had the capabilities to do my own website, and I learned how to do all that stuff. I'm a graphic designer, web developer, like you name it.
You were doing a lot. Yeah, you were doing a lot of graphic design on the side too.
Yeah. So long story short, I got like a group of other thrifters that had their, so now I had like a marketplace legit with other vendors on it. And then it hit me one day when I was at another event. I was like, man, this is when Uber was really like coming out. I think it was like the first year or second year. And I was like, man, how can I make money using, you know, like Uber? Uber has no, what do you call it? No cars.
Yeah.
You know, they're using other people's cars. I'm like, how can I do this? And I was like, man, I'll just create my own market. I already have an online marketplace. Let me create my own market. I had the opportunity to do it on a piece of land in Wynwood, which is now known as the Wynwood Marketplace.
Okay.
Pretty much that did not exist. It was just me sitting in a empty container under a big tent. That tent was utilized for holiday festivals. So for Halloween, St. Patrick's Day, Cinco de Mayo, that was the only time that tent was being used for. So I had pitched like, hey, I have vendors. Let me do my own thing here, you know, once a month. It went from once a month to every weekend to Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every weekend.
Yep, I remember
and
that.
It just blew up. And you know, from there, you know, it turned into what it is now out there.
I think the thing is everybody relates to those things to where if they can find like those little socialite moments to where they could put it on Instagram, they could just take these photos. I think that's what people thrive on now. That if you make those little moments, it's like when you go to these clubs or these restaurants and there's just a spot to take photo ops, you got it. As long as it looks good, for sure these people are going to make it. For sure.
There's like businesses now popping up. I'm sorry, my son just opened the door and it's crazy. I still don't believe that.
That there's a little man in your house?
Yeah, like he looks like a little drunk old man walking around naked in Pampers.
I saw the little barricade that you made in the garage with the canvases.
Oh my God, did you see that with my canvases?
I thought that was hilarious.
Yes, man. That was too funny. I got so many comments on that. But yeah. So oddly enough, Thrifter, before I got into Wynwood, I needed more products to sell. So I was going thrifting, but sometimes, you know, you don't find things.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, you know, I know how to paint. You know, I used to paint when I was like 10 years old, and I would do a bunch of different events at different galleries and fairs. And I was like, man, what if I just paint my own canvas and put it on the website and list it for sale? Mm-hmm. And it sold. And I was like, what? Like,
how was that first feeling when you sold that one?
That it's like you don't believe it.
I know.
Like,
it's like at the same time. It's like at the same time. Do you want to let it go?
No, it's not. Nah, I wanted to get rid of it. I was like, get rid of this. But the fact that, you know, you're painting on a white paper, you know, like not paper but canvas, and to me, at first it was like I don't get it. Like, how did someone just pay like $50 for this? And that was my first sale at $50.
I'm different than, I swear to God, when I paint my pieces and I don't want to let them go, I'm like, oh no, but I think this will look good in my house. Like, I don't want to get rid of it.
Yeah. Oh, trust me, my parents have upstairs closet full of canvases that I keep closed because I'm embarrassed of them. And I'm like, who knows in the future, maybe like I'll bring them out and they'll be worth something, you
Wait, so
know.
are your parents artistic too or no? Because I thought your dad did something with art.
My dad, he sketched a lot of comics when he
Yes, that's
was
what it
younger,
was. Yep.
but not as a career or anything like that. It was just a hobby.
Just for fun.
And yeah, he got me into X-Men, you know, all these Marvel, Spider-Man and all that. And I would always sketch Wolverine and Spider-Man, and that's how I started my whole little like art movement. And then I obviously would take art classes, you know, during through elementary,
Yeah.
through high school. I always had my art. In college, I had my art,
So
and
so you
whatnot.
sold that one piece. Did you now come out with your own studio, or what are you doing now with your art?
So I sold that one piece, and then that's it. You know, I would paint one-offs. Then I stopped the thrifting thing. I stopped painting because I was doing, like I said, you know, managing vendors in Wynwood. When I got to Wynwood and I really was like focused in Wynwood, I didn't know Wynwood was, well, at the moment it was also just starting to blossom. You know, obviously it had its graffiti artists that were
Yep.
out there doing their thing, but it was really starting to blossom. People were really starting to know about it and coming out, and more art was appearing everywhere, and more artists were coming. And I was like, man, I just like just driving into Wynwood, I felt like I felt something, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I love it here. Like it's like my calling. Like I need to have a studio here. I need to work here. I need to do something here. I need to live here, you know?
No lie, it
Um,
is inspirational because all those artistic people, when you go down there, like, yeah, you see these pieces and it's like, oh man, can I do that or can I take it to the next level?
I'm telling you, man, look, like it's funny because today I had a moment of 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 I had a good moment for a good 30 minutes, like to an hour of just thinking to myself how to continue to motivate myself, because you have your moments that you're
Yeah.
just like, man, let me just watch Tenet. You know, my boy sent me a link to HD the movie Tenet. I'm like, I want to watch that, but I'm like, man, you should just jump in your studio and work. You know, obviously you got to disconnect sometimes, but you know what happens when you watch one movie, you continue looking for another one, and you're in the hole,
it's a
and then you jump
spiral.
into
That's it.
TikTok, and then you're in TikTok, and then you're Instagram, and you're like, shit, I
I feel
just
like
wasted like,
that's how YouTube is. Once you start with one video on YouTube, I don't know how you end up like watching dogs like jumping over like.
yeah, you go into a black hole. So today and one of the things why I had that conversation with myself was because, you know, yes, when I paint, I would drink. You know, I like to drink and listen to classic music, old school rock,
hmm
and I'll get into the vibe, and then, you know, I'll be freaking jumping around painting, and, you know, I'm like, look, I can't drink, you know, every day, you know, like, because I haven't mentioned it yet, but as of two Saturdays ago, I just went full time on my art. But I told myself, I'm like, I can't motivate myself with drinking and getting this high, and painting. So I
Yeah.
need to figure out different ways, um, whether it's watching artists on YouTube, whether it's, you know, making my own, like, you know, tea, or like my own mixed virgin mojito, or
Well, I was
just
gonna say with your art, you have, I guess you have a certain niche in it. So, what would you say is your, I guess, your motivation? Like, what inspires you in the way you do your artwork? And is there a certain look that you always try to keep around? Because I think there's always a certain
yeah.
theme within
So
it.
so the funny thing you mentioned that. So going back to the whole Winwood, 2 years ago is when it hit me that calling, and I started painting again. So 2 years ago I started painting again, more of in a professional level, but part time. And till today, I don't have I myself say I don't have my look, my niche, or my style.
hmm
If you look at my Instagram page, you'll say, yes, he has like this pop art, like kind of like, you know, characters that he does. But the truth is, those all are commissioned pieces. Those are not pieces where I just like, okay, I'm going to paint today whatever I want and then I sell it. No, right now I'm like I have 8 commission pieces that are pending, and obviously what I like to offer everyone is, hey, what is your favorite character? What do you like? What do you, you know? And a lot of the time when people see my page, they like what they already see, so
Yeah.
they're going along with that. But it's not my thing, you know. I am looking for that, you know. I've talked to artists, and some artists have told me, "Hey, look, man, it took me 10 years to find this thing that I do, and I didn't even want to do this thing." My artist friends told me, "This is you. You just don't know it. You keep doing this, and people keep asking for this and looking at that. That's your guy. You got to keep going with that." I don't have that yet. I personally don't have that. I love the characters. I love the pop art stuff, but
I was gonna say,
I
yeah,
have,
it's very pop art. It's very, let's say, young kid at heart. Like you could see that in the art.
yeah,
and,
yes,
and
yes,
and I think
yes,
that's what thrives because like, you have so many people that will relate to it, and it's like, you gain that audience.
yeah,
If it's anything from like how you do with Richie Rich, how you do
yes.
the Darth Vader, like all that
Hmm.
stuff, like the Scrooge. I'm a huge fan of like
I
McScrooge.
just
There, it's
got
like
a funny request, and I love it. I'm like super excited to paint it. This guy, he's bought a couple of my pieces, and he's like, "I want Michelangelo buffed up Ninja Turtle, but drag." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yes, red heels, red lipstick. He has a side job, and this is what he does." I'm like, "Send me the deposit right now. Let's go." I'm like, "Oh yes, this is what I like." I like these weird smash ups.
what
Like
what what would you say is basically your number one that sells the most?
Richie Rich.
Yeah,
Yeah, Richie Rich. I don't like to do Monopoly too much because I like Monopoly. That's his like signature thing, and I don't hate it, but I hate when people are like, "Oh, like that's what Monopoly does."
yeah.
I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm painting it because someone requested it. I'm not just doing it because I'm trying to ride his wave. But Richie Rich, a lot of people ask for that. And Popeye, believe it or not.
Really?
But again, Joe, like I tell you, if I had time, which I'm now, I do have time, um, to set aside and just paint something that I want. I bet if I paint that, post it on IG, someone's gonna like it, they're gonna buy it, and someone else is gonna come along, want something similar to that, and then there's gonna be a trend
So no, of
that could
course.
happen. So hopefully that's what I'm looking for. I just haven't found that that
So so
that
basically
idea.
now you went like you were saying. So you went 100% now only art.
Yes. So I went from the creating the Winwood Marketplace, selling it to an event agency, doing the marketing for that event agency, and obviously with COVID, events now are like kind of kaput.
Yeah.
There's no concerts, like no like big festivals. So I had to make a move, and it was either jump back to doing my creative, marketing stuff, or doing my art, my passion, my love, which it's 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 a big leap, it's and it's something that definitely I want to tell people, anyone listening to this. When people say like, "Hey, do your dream, follow your dream, do your passion," let me tell you, that's the hardest thing to do. But if you do it and you stick to it, I
It pays
think
off.
it pays off, and I think you're going to be a lot more of a happy person. Look, I'm telling you, in a matter of 2 weeks, I've like, from going from like, "Hey, how am I going to pay my bills?"
Hmm.
Like in the long run, like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to pay that? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, let's just paint, bro. And man, like, I'm getting commission after commission after commission, like off the bat.
And
Like
and it's exactly what you said. Just stay focused to it because there are those struggles. Everyone's going to
yeah,
struggle.
yeah.
But it's if you stick your guns to it and you keep going, I think you could definitely get it because it shows like one, it's you're not taking your pauses. You're always coming out with something different. I saw what you were doing now, where you were doing like events inside someone's. Was it a brokerage or like some
It's
office?
a yeah, it's a corporate office here in Doral. Actually, they wanted to have live painting, and they deal a lot with like car accidents.
Okay.
So I was like, well, and one of my favorite things too is obviously like the when someone reaches out to me, they don't. I don't get a lot of people are like, "I want this, 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 and that." Like that guy with the Ninja Turtle and the heels. A lot of people are like, "Hey, like, yeah, you're the artist. Like, you tell me what you want." Um, One of my favorite moments is trying to come up with the idea for the person. So I like to go through a person's IG or ask them
Yep.
questions and come up. And in that case, with that company, I'm like, all right, people get into accidents. You guys, refer them to a law firm. Which the company's called the No Fraud Group. They'll appreciate me giving them a shout out. So I was like, all right, you guys are making money. Richie Rich driving a money car. They're like, we love it. I was like, all right, gone, gone with the wind, bro. And I put Richie Rich on a car that's a dollar sign. And then the best part that they loved was I'm like, hey, look, the Rolls Royce has the angel lady.
Yep.
I'm like, I'm gonna put your logo there in gold. They're like, oh, we love it. And it's perfect. And I did it. I did it in a day. Obviously, I charge a lot more for me to paint live and do it in one day because I normally like to take my time and do it in 2 weeks. Just because I have so many like different works I have to do, so I take my time on all of them. But an average of 2 weeks on a piece.
I was going to say, so basically, hopefully we're going to say that we're going to see Victor GOSA in a studio one day, actually having a spot.
I mean, I right now I call my home garage my studio. I have it pimped out, man. Since I left that other company I brought my desk, my monitors. I got 2 desk stations. I actually have like a little team that works with me. So it's not just me by myself, That's one thing that when I said, okay, I'm going to do the art thing, I'm going to treat it as a business, and no business can be ran by one person. I mean, you could start it by yourself, but eventually all these hats you're wearing, you're going to have to start handing off different hats to different people to help you elevate to where you need to be. So I've been planning for that. And, I got a team of 2 that help me out with stuff. And they come to my home garage, just how Jeff Bezos started in his garage, and all these guys.
That's the next trillionaire.
Yeah. In the future, I hope I can have a studio in Wynwood or some kind of space where, I'll be right at home.
Well, I think overall, I'm excited for you. I love the work that you do. I love the pieces because I think it speaks to all our hearts. Like we are all childish. Like the show, we're big kids now. So I don't think we're adulting. We're still gonna be big kids. I think definitely anyone who's wanting a nice piece or has an outrageous idea for an art piece, reach out to Victor GOSA. You can find him on Instagram at Victor GOSA. And before we end today, I always end with our final questions. So you ready?
All right, let's do it.
All right. So first one is, what makes you happy?
Oh man, right now, the first thing that came to mind is my family and painting.
All right. That Brad's screaming in the back.
Yeah. He's like, you better say me.
He's like, I'm here, Dad.
Yeah.
All right.
He definitely brings a smile to my face.
How
every moment.
Would you ever, I guess, put yourself in the position of where you're at right now, raising a little boy? Like, did you see this happening at this age, or did you see it coming later?
No, I was. I mean, bro, I think it was like 4 years ago. I did my mood board, and my mood board had like a modern white home, Lamborghini, a kid, and I forgot what else was in it. I got everything but the Lamborghini.
Start painting the Lamborghini.
Yeah. I need to do another mood board.
You didn't specify what you wanted that Lamborghini for.
Yeah. If I do another mood board, I might out of nowhere have like my girl might one day just draw a baby girl in there. I'm like, oh snap. I don't know about putting a mood board up.
Let's go into our second question is, if you can give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Wow, that's a good one. I would. That's a good one. I don't
like to prep you guys. I want you guys to think on the spot.
Yeah, no, I love it. I think I would stick to something longer. I feel like when I was younger, and I think a lot of people go through this, and I think a lot of Miamians go through this, since we live in such a vice city and like, fast city. You want to make that quick cash. You want to do that quick hustle. So I always tried to create, not get rich schemes, but like, oh, let me do this. Oh, it's not working. In a matter of 2 months, I'm creating a new company.
Jump to the next,
that's not working. I'm doing this one. But I've learned that if you stick to something, eventually you start seeing the door open and you're like, whoa, okay. And it was just a matter of like, stick to it at least for a year, 2 years, like and then make a decision. That's what I would tell myself.
Okay. When you leave this earth, which word would best describe your life?
I would say GOSA.
GOSA.
But
Perfect.
my GOSA is GOSA, but a lot of other people, the Latin people, know it as GOSA. Like, enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like, gozalo. Like, you enjoyed it. Like, and it's funny, today I was walking that's really weird that we're just talking about that. I was walking my son today, and I was like, when I walk him, I don't take my phone or nothing like that. And I was walking him, and I just spoke to him. I know he doesn't understand anything I'm telling him, but I go to him, bro, just enjoy this life, bro. Like, enjoy it. Like, you're going to love it. Like, have fun, you know? But I don't know why I was thinking, I'm like, there's some people that probably go through some hard times, and some people think to themselves, like, I don't want to bring a kid into this world, or like, why have a kid? You know, I have some friends that they're like, yo, I'm just not having kids. But not for those reasons. Maybe they just, just don't want or don't see that. But I know there's people out there that are probably like, no, I don't want to bring a kid into this world because I'm not ready or nothing like that. And it's just, you got to just be happy and enjoy your life, bro. And
if it's in your cards, it's in your cards.
Yeah.
It'll
just
happen.
Enjoy it. Yeah, man.
Well, I appreciate you. I love you for coming on. Thank you so much. And I definitely wish you only the best going forward. Congrats on the family. Congrats on your art. Congrats on what the future has for you.
Thank you, Joe, man. And look, we gotta see each other. Pass by my studio one of these days.
Definitely.
I got a little art gift for you.
No, for sure. And like I said, I want everybody to definitely look you up, follow you, commission him, give him some outrageous drag work to do.
I love it. Let's do it.
But find him at Victor Gosa. And then you have anything else that they follow you on, or is it just only on Instagram?
I got a website, artbygosa.com. Still adding some more stuff to it, but they can see some stuff there.
Awesome. Check it out, guys. You're not going to be disappointed. He has great pieces. And like I always tell everybody, this is not the end, but more like to be continued. Thanks for listening. And don't forget, always go with kind. Be sure to follow and subscribe on your favorite platform, and stay tuned for the next chapter of We're Big Kids Now.